So finally now we get to spend all our time talking about sustainability. So very exciting. My name's Angela. I work as a Global Sustainability Director with Connie, and I'm joined here by an amazing panel who will introduce themselves as we go as well. But fair to say we have a mix of perspectives here between beauty, consumer goods, automotive, and design. So quite excited about this. And I think, you know, all the panels touched on sustainability, right? And sustainability has managed, I think, to be a bit of a buzzword for a whole decade. Like we were here before blockchain, during blockchain, after blockchain, before Bitcoin, during Bitcoin, after Bitcoin, and we will be here for quite some time. But I think in the sustainability society and everyone who's working with sustainability, I think we've reached a point where the high-level commitments, buzzwords, that's gone. We are no longer sending our CEOs on stage to declare net zero 2040 at Climate Week. But we're really in the more nitty-gritties of how do we actually transition and how do we actually become more sustainable businesses. And a big part of that, of course, is design, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Now, one of my favorite points to make, and that I try to tell everyone who will listen, and a lot of people who won't, is that most decisions on sustainability are actually made at the point of design, right? It's really hard to make this plastic. I should have thought about this a bit better. It's really hard to make this pen sustainable or circular once it's already here, right? So thinking about the decisions made at the point of design, what areas should we be working on and what considerations do we need to think? And I think Barbara here working with sustainability at L'Oréal Paris, maybe you start with how do you guys think about this?
I'm Barbara Bressan-Susfeld. I'm heading CSR for L'Oréal Paris Worldwide. So yes, indeed, in L'Oréal we've been doing sustainability more than 20 years ago. It's something that we've been always doing. I've been in the group for 20 years, so we were doing sustainability when this world was not that fashionable. Now we put a name on it. Today, the group is selling 7 billion units. Okay, we have 37 brands, and we are representing 7 billion products every year on the planet. L'Oréal Paris is 2 billion. Okay, so we do have a huge responsibility to make our product more sustainable. And of course, this is totally embedded in our strategy for our product design, and I would say all across our value chain up to our consumers. So it's really a long-term vision that has been there in the group for a long time. So how do we do that? First, we measure, or you don't improve what you don't measure. You are all very well aware of that. So today in L'Oréal Paris, 98% of the product that we renovate or that we launch do have a better environmental footprint than the previous one. So if today you buy a bottle of Elvive or Elseve, if you are French, Elvive if you are a foreigner, bottle, a shampoo bottle, this bottle has a better environmental footprint in carbon, in water, than the previous one. 98%. So this has become, and our design processes, the way we have built our teams, the way we have also make our métier, our knowledge evolved, has totally taken care of the sustainability challenges. So we work on packaging. We have this reduce, replace, and recycle strategy. Of course, moving out of petrochemical fossil plastic, of course. Your bottle of Elvive today is 100% PCR, is recyclable, and by the way, is lightweighted. So we are today saving, we have redesigned this bottle, and our inspiration was a diamond shape. So you see, you can be very inspired for a bottle of shampoo. So definitely, so that's the beauty of design. And it's 10,000 of tons of plastic that we will save. It's also the formula, and it's both together, because of course the product, the experience is of course your formula. You want your hair to be clean, right? This is the first thing you are expecting from a shampoo, but you want it to be also perfumed. You want it to be smooth. And it has to go with your packaging. Okay, so this is, so the formula is also very important. And as I think Leonore maybe was saying just before, our consumers are looking very much to our formula. So we are really moving to renewable ingredients and processes. So that's part of our design as well. And then, of course, we are working on the experience of the consumer. And in terms of design, for instance, we are moving more and more to reusable product. Your bottle of shampoo is reusable. We have designed a recharge so that you, as consumers, you can move and change your habits so that tomorrow you will refill your bottle of shampoo, which I think nobody does today. So we'll be first to market on top of that, so we're very happy. But it's very important because the design also is about making it convenient and sexy for our consumers. So, and especially when we want you to engage in a journey where you change your habits. And I think the design part, and I stop there, is also about that. In sustainability, we are at a moment where we really need to engage with our consumers. So far, we were doing better what we were doing. We try now to also divert our consumers to new habits and new ways of enjoying beauty. And this is a next step, and I would say the ultimate step, where also all our marketing, love brands, and ability to discuss with our consumers will be even more leveraged and engaged.
I like that, because you talk now about how redesigning a product to be more sustainable actually will impact the business model, with people bringing bottles to refill. So let's get back to that. But first I want to ask you, Christophe, you're the CTO at Forvia. It's automotive, no end consumer for you, so it's more business to business. What about your customers? Do they care about how you design the product?
They care, and we care as well. So you know that we have company objectives for the sustainability. So it means that we want to be neutral in 2045, and within 2030 we want to reduce by 45% our CO2 footprint. And to do that, of course, a big part is coming from design. Because when we analyze all that, the scope 1 and 2, so the energy that we use within our plants, and we have 260 plants, so which is huge, it is only representing 2 to 3%, and the rest is the product design. So design for scope 3, as we say, is very key for us. And within that, there is the control part, so all what we do to develop our product, which is representing 32%, and the rest is the use phase of our product within the car. And it represents 2/3 of the emissions. But okay, so to do that, what do we have? We have objectives, and we have different KPIs to achieve that. And we were certified by SBTi, you know, this independent company, science-based target initiative. And so we have demonstrated that we can reach our objectives. So for example, we have to integrate 30% of bio-based materials or recycled materials. We have to buy products which are reducing between 40 to 70% the CO2 footprint. We have to use 40% less energy for all our products, etc., etc. And we have also to reduce the weight of our product, because when it is in the use phase, then we save also a lot of CO2 by 17% globally in general. So it's a big challenge. So we are monitoring that, of course. So we have worked on what we call generic products for all our products. So we have segmented the products, and we have objective for all of them to be sure that we can reach this objective in 2030. So today we are a bit in between, because it was set in 2019, those objectives. So today we are proposing already 20% less CO2 footprint on all our products. And of course, innovation is very key also for that, because all our new innovation must show at least minus 30% CO2 emissions, at least. And today, half of our innovation are based on sustainability. So they are coming from sustainability, and all the other have to reduce as well, but they are not coming from sustainability targets, I would say. So all that is very it's a very important topic for us and for the company. And as I said, when we prepare, so we wake up in the morning thinking about sustainability. We fall asleep in the evening thinking also about sustainability within the company.
Oh, but it's good, and it seems, very different products, but very similar, right? Each new development must be better than the last one, and using innovations to get there. And I think we heard the question earlier in one of the panels to say, how can how can you save cost? And this is one way, right? Reduce the weight, reduce the amount of material, reduce the waste and the water.
But there is an equilibrium between that, because you want to reduce the weight. If we use, for example, aluminum, then you multiply by 3 emission factor. So you will reduce by, I don't know, 5 to 10%, but then you will increase the CO2 footprint. So it's an equilibrium, and then the price also is going to go up. So all that is very difficult. So each time you want to reduce the weight, we have to reduce it by design. Only, but by design, not using different materials. So being intelligent in reducing, yes, the weight by new architecture, new way to design the parts, and so on.
No, if it was easy, it would be done already, most likely. But Oliver, you work as a director of strategy and product at Teams Design, right? So we talk about two ways a product can be sustainable. It can either be sustainable in itself, materials, design, how we shape it, but it can also be sustainable because it allows the user to be more sustainable, right? So how should we think, and thinking also of the panel we just heard, how do we integrate sustainability in the product from a user perspective?
Hello? Yeah, thanks for the question. Maybe to start at the point, I'm not a pure sustainability expert. I would call myself as an expert for bringing ideas to people or making ideas economically successful. And I think getting people into sustainable behavior is just done by delighting them for a change. So, and I can just repeat what the amazing panel before us just said. We delight people by addressing their needs, and by addressing their needs better than others. And this is how people will adapt to sustainable behavior, because they don't perceive it as a loss or as something they have to adapt against their will.
So exciting. And then finally, Pierre-Alexandre, looking at you. So you have a long track record. So you're with Impact Conseil. Yeah. Also a Carney advisor at the moment, but with a long history from Procter & Gamble and Nestlé, Carrefour. When we talk, and I want to dive deeper into maybe Barbara's point too about, innovation and designing for sustainability, leading even to new business. So in your experience, how do you see that moment of design and where we can make the win-win solutions when it comes to sustainability and growth?
In fact, I would say that this example you shared with us are showing that sustainability is no more something you address on the side as a topic per se. Definitely, this has been driven by consumer or customer expectation, when not by regulator. But I would say that now sustainability is definitely part of what makes a product or a service quality. Just like safety, just like availability, just like regularity, all these questions that you do not consider as a competitive advantage or a constraint, but just as part of a whole which make your identity, which makes the quality of your product, and which makes that it is desired, liked or loved, I don't know, but yes, it is from the beginning that it is now taken into account. It's a no-brainer.
But if we think about the customer, then regardless of if it's automotive or beauty or fashion, I had the same example actually as the previous panel, because we hear so much about consumers. They really like sustainability. They prioritize sustainability. I've read 100, I'm sure, surveys that shows that they will prioritize this at point of purchase. They will pay a premium for sustainability, especially young consumers, especially women. But then we see Shane being the fastest growing retailer in the world, and there seems to be a little bit of a gap between what consumers say and what consumers do, right? So really getting to the point, we can design all day, but are customers, people, consumer, are they willing to pay premium for sustainability?
Alors, no, there are two wrong ideas. That's first, they buy for sustainability. They never buy a product because it's sustainable, and they never buy more. The consumer, they want value for money. They want to have a best quality performing product at the best price. I am a luxury accessible brand, so you can find me in L'Oréal Paris. I'm so much in my brand. So you can find L'Oréal Paris in Carrefour, in Walmart, in any mass distribution, and of course online. So it's a very accessible brand that you buy from €6 somewhere to €30 if I'm talking Europe range. So the consumer, they still want to buy L'Oréal Paris, more sustainable, but at the same price. So when you really develop your product and you think about sustainability embedded in your entire development process, it's just another criteria that you take that has to be taken care of with the same objective of profitability. So it's a very cost-oriented exercise to a certain extent, but of course you can also valorize because you bring new experience, you can also valorize, and sustainability is a source of innovation that can help you valorize your product, or you will find other ways of mitigation. At the beginning of the PCR and the recycle plastic, because we go out completely of virgin plastic in L'Oréal Paris, it was more expensive, of course, than the virgin, because virgin was what was on the market, right? What everybody was using, right? So it's just, so it was more expensive. I remember I was heading the Southeast Asia and the Latin America zone at that time. I was, because I'm in sustainability now, but I'm coming from business and operation, and it cost me 6% of my gross margin when I did the exercise. It's not an option. It was not an option. So we had to find other ways. We worked on the product, we worked on plans of mitigation, and eventually we reached our target of profitability, and we launched a product without touching the price, by the way, for our consumers. So it's something that it's really key to work this way, is that it has to be part of the way we design and we conceive our business model now. But it has to be within, I would say, so far the system has not changed that much in a profitable way, and looking for growth. So that's what's super important. So, and all our studies are telling us that they want to help our consumers to be more sustainable. They want to be helped. We are helping them to do something, but they won't pay more for that. I don't believe
but
it
they want to feel good
except the very engaged consumers, but they are 3%, so it's not going to make your market.
Exactly.
I fully agree on that.
Yes.
So this is why you have an objective to be the same cost for all what we do in sustainability. And you have a good example within the automotive industry. Today, you know that if you buy an electric car, it is more expensive than an IC, so internal combustion engine car. So if you have subsidies to buy the car, so it works, and we saw it in Germany. They have stopped that, and then immediately they have dropped down in terms of sales. So it means that at the end we need to be at the same cost or price, and giving the same functionality also, because this is why we want to increase the autonomy of the vehicle, so which costs a lot of money also with the batteries. So, but in the end, yes, we should be at the same cost and the same price.
For sure, and what we see also, I think, is that, to your point, Pierre-Alexandre, that it's just part of the quality. And what we see, and I expect, Christophe, you see this in your industry, but also in the fashion industry, and why would a consumer pay premium for you to not use child labor? Do I have to pay extra for my Coca-Cola for you not to pollute the water? Of course not. I just expect, as a consumer, that you do your business in a responsible way, right? But so how do we then how do we do that? How do we sort of balance then the short-term profitability targets we have with long-term investment? Because there's also the looming, threat of not only regulation, but if we don't invest in sustainable solutions, will we all of a sudden find ourselves completely irrelevant? Like there's no ROI in the coming 4 years, but if we don't do it, we lose 50% market share or 100% market share in 8 years when it is a prerequisite. So how do we balance those two?
It's always difficult to answer this way, but I heard Marc Auclair in Carambar & Co. telling us that what was good for sustainability was eventually good for his P&L. And I'm deeply convinced of that. Then you have, to swallow your margin during a few months, years, but it pays out. In any case, it pays out. When you are ready, when the others are not ready. When you define the market because you were the leader and all others follow you. Yes, it's nothing more than the same question you've got in industrial or other areas. It's a question of investment. How much do I put on the table? When do I have my return on investment? Are the timing for return on investment longer on sustainability? Yes and no. As for any investment, you've got quick wins, you've got structural investment, which are a little bit longer, but that you need. And as I was saying, sustainability is just a part of the quality, but it's just a part of the decision-making of the company in terms of strategy. And I would say that a company's strategy must include sustainability rather than having a sustainable strategy on its own side.
So have a sustainable strategy, not a sustainability strategy.
But yes, sustainability has to create value.
Well, I mean, preaching to the choir, in my case, obviously, this is what I do, but I think we also have a lot of examples now. We see, for instance, the CEO Alliance, one of World Economic Forum's initiatives. They have successfully now decoupled growth from emissions. So they have lowered emissions in absolute numbers while still growing. And I heard the CEO of IKEA saying that if you put the curve of emissions in my supply chain and my cost curve next to each other, it's not a perfect one-to-one, but almost. Every time I pull carbon out of my supply chain, I pull cost out of my supply chain. But at the end of the day, still need someone to buy our products, right? So coming back to your point, Oliver, how do we create that excitement about sustainable product? If it's not enough that they're sustainable in themselves, how do we create that excitement?
Thanks for the question. I think we create that excitement for sustainability the same way we create excitement for any other new product, concept, or technology. I always like to take the espresso coffee machine we just have in the room over there. The coffee costs 8 times or as much more. It's an environmental disaster, but we still all keep using it. So why do we keep using it? Even if it is a closed system that doesn't give us any chance to use like powder coffee, whatever. So we use it because it addresses some basic psychological or some basic user needs or human needs, Pascal referred to you. So it addresses those needs better than any other system. And I think applying this to sustainability can help making sustainability economically successful and accessible. So the question for me is, or the task for me is, how might we use sustainability to address users' needs better than we do at the moment? Psychological needs as we have them is, like, of course, connectedness, as Mary said, then of course, safeness from harm, significance also.
So basically, there's so much here. I think we'll just skip the other panels because there's so many things to tap into here, and I can see the time ticking, and there's here not. But okay. So if we start then, point of design. So to your point, Christophe, it's about innovation, and to you, Bar, we have to think differently about the products. Maybe we refill shampoo. Maybe it's a shampoo bar, which my nieces are using. It's like, say, the younger generation teaching the old, but they're like, why would you have a big bottle? It takes so much space. So thinking from the point of design really about what will happen at end of life, what will happen with this plastic bottle, what will happen with these materials in the car once it's done. Having that complete end to end, does that change anything? Looking at you, Pierre-Alexandre, with all your experience, like, can you really expect the R&D team, an innovation team, to think about every step of the way, from how we package it to how we transport it to what the customer will do with it to what will happen to it while it's done? It's a lot, no?
They can try. The same way that CSR division can try to influence the whole company. But at one point in time, what is clear, it is that this is a collective work, and it's a job on the culture of the company. As long as this will not be taken into account in every function, because every function has an impact on the product, to the consumers, in the ways the company is organized. And if you want a collective, a cross-functional, efficient management of the company and design of the product, yes, there is no choice than working on the regeneration of the function. I'm deeply convinced that this is a question of culture first. And you were saying you wake up and go to bed thinking about sustainability, but this must be the same for the accountant, for the supply chain, for the R&D teams, and it is the only way to go forward on this, which is not the case, because once again, sustainability is often something apart, or something on top, or something we would like to include, but not always a collective decision-making process.
So what do you say? Is this reflective of how you work, or he's got it all wrong?
No, I agree. More than culture, I think it's a vision. It has to come from the top. So I think it starts there, and then your culture can change. I just would start there, and then absolutely afterwards, it has to be embedded in each of your métiers. So and it has embedded also to be embedded in the bonuses of the people, to be very pragmatic, because that changes a lot, including your top CEO up to your chemist in your laboratory. So if I may, so in L'Oréal we used to say we are poet and peasant. So we dream a lot and we forecast, but we are very down to earth. And I can tell you, putting that in the bonus of the people makes a huge difference. And that was one of my biggest fight when I arrived, because I said, guys, it's not the sustainability lady who is going to change the world. So we are all together and it does work. And of course, it's not only that. It's also, that's why I'm saying it starts with the vision. Then I agree with you on the cross-functional part. In fact, the moment or every métier and every people understand the vision, and then they understand their part in the process and in the vision and how they contribute. And I think this is very important to entertain in all the teams, how they contribute to this new criteria of our success, which is a more sustainable business. It changes definitely the culture and the way the people address their work and the way they work every day. So I think those are really the three, I would say, the magic, maybe a little bit of the magic processes that works eventually.
And I think if you remember nothing else from this, remember that if you want to accelerate the pace of the transition, match the bonus to sustainability. That's some free consulting advice right there.
You will get other stuff than what I said, but this one obviously.
This is what we are starting to do, and to put within the bonus this objective of sustainability. Maybe 2 or 3 answers to your question, which was related to circular economy in the end. So we have examples for the time being. Some customers are coming to us to say, okay, my car will last 24 years, and I want to refurbish it completely every 8 years. And I want to change all the surfaces within the interior of the car. And we are delivering more or less all the interior of the car. So it means that we have to redesign our product to make it possible, because today it's not. Maybe it will cost a bit more, I don't know, but they are maybe ready to pay more because they have a new business model in this case. They have to work with banks and so on to lease 2-3 times their car, and so it is completely new. Then we have other example also. We are producing tanks for hydrogen vehicles, and you know that it's very intensive in terms of CO2 because for each tank we have 30 kilos of carbon fiber. And carbon fiber today it is 30 kilos of CO2 per kilo. And the objective is to have 10 in the end. So what do? We want to have a second life with our hydrogen tanks. Maybe not for mobility, but for static usage within a home or I don't know, within an industry and so on. So then we can divide by 2 the CO2 emission in this case. So we have plenty of examples like that. We have launched also a division which is called Materiact to develop our own compound for the plastic parts, for the plastic materials. And we have for that also a lot of partnerships, for example with Veolia to get access to the material because we integrate also recycled material within our Materiact company, I would say. So we have plenty of examples like that to make sure that in the end we are going to be able to reach our objective.
No, I love it, and again it goes to new business models, right? What if a car is something you only lease, and then every 8 years it gets refurbished and new services, and then the OEM can resell their car every 8 years? That would be perfect. So okay, so from innovation, circular economy, embedding it into culture, there's a lot of topics here to ask questions on. So I'm going to open up the floor for questions. Don't be shy. You don't know this, but I'm a very patient person, so I will just sit here and stare at you all day. Yes. It wasn't true. I'm not patient at all. It's a threat.
So for
public companies, do you think analysts and the press are giving you enough credit for sustainability? And do you think
maybe some of the pressure they put on you for short-term results drives some of your decision making? And do you think that will change?
Alors, we don't have that much question about that. If I'm very honest, when during roadshows and I'm not part of the roadshows, but I read it. I discussed with my finance team and the finance team, etc. So I wish they can ask more. Very honestly, we just start having people who are maybe a little bit more precise and more into it, but we are not asked that much. Now, honestly, I speak here very honestly. A company for me is part of society. So when we talk about responsibility, it's also because we are individuals, consumers, companies, states, all stakeholders. So we are all in it, because just to make it clear, sustainability is not about saving the planet. It's about making sure that as human beings we will still exist with a destroyed planet. It's about our survival. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit provocative when I explain that to people, but this is what it is about. I can tell you, the Earth, even if we damage her a little bit, will survive longer than us. She will thrive. She will recover. Okay? So that's what it is about. So we better be all together in it. So I wish we could have more questions. I think it's good that we have this pressure. So for me, it's always good to have discussions with our stakeholders, investors, NGOs, consumers, But I wish they can ask even more. So if I can be a little bit provocative, maybe my boss will not be that happy with that, but that's what I think.
Of course.
Not enough questions, I agree. But markets are somewhere like consumers, customers, like you were calling the society. They don't ask a lot, but you can be punished very fast and very strong if you're not compliant, if you missed something which is key, and then you can pay it very expensive.
And this was what I also was about to say. I think it's not so much to get the credit for what you do. Most people don't get enough. But the alternative cost of not doing it is high, right? Nobody cares about, you know, how your towel was made until you find some children in the supply chain. Then everybody cares a lot about how your towel was made. And I think it's the same also for the business case for sustainability, that we are continuously very bad in our business cases at having the alternative cost. What is the cost of not having electric vehicles when cities implement zero emission zones, for instance? If you have no home deliveries because your customers live in zero emission zones, then the alternative cost is even higher than buying the electric vehicles.
To answer Mary, also for us, we are very regulated within the automotive industry, because yes, in 2025 we should be 15% less. We should have 15% less emissions, and then 55% less emissions versus 2021 in 2030. So we are very regulated. And then, for example, also for all the big components like batteries, we have to recycle. So we have also to use. It is about to be adopted 30% or 25% of material which are recycled within the car. So we have to take that into account, of course. And of course, each time we have a road things and like that, we have a lot of questions about sustainability with the banks, investors, and so on. So it is a big portion of our document reference every year.
It's going to be a bit industry specific. So I haven't prepared you for this. This was not part of our discussions, but I will challenge you now, like in 15 seconds or less, because Dominic is very specific about time. What is like the one message when it comes to integrating sustainability into the design of your product to transition to become a sustainable business? What's the one thing you would like the audience to leave with? I'll start here and work my way down.
Change comes with delight. Listen to your customers and give them what they need.
Splendid. Christoph?
For me, it's a changing of the way we work. So it's a system approach. We have to deal with a lot of parameters. So this is why it is not so easy for the design people to take all that into account: circular economy, recycled product, new architectures, and so on.
Daniel C. said the same just before for us about people. And it's our métier, all to understand how they contribute. That was what I was saying. And then it's not about the sustainability anymore. It's just part of the game. So that makes the huge difference for to succeed.
Would say that design is about innovation and renovation. Renovation is starting to change the old culture, the old processes. Innovation is about creating the new one. And yes, definitely sustainability is part of it.
Perfect. So there you have it. Embedded, it's not an extra on the side. It's a core part of business if you intend to stay in business. That's what I'm taking away. Thank you so much to the panel, and thank you so much to all of you.